All right, folks, welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate radio show. I'm your host, Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor. I am here with my buddy, Mark Pantak, professional investor, well over 30 years of experience. We've been talking real estate. We've been talking market conditions. We've been talking creating notes, investing in notes, and it's only getting better. Here's what I want to know from you, Mark, for the folks that are listening. This note investing may be very foreign to them, which it is normally when people hear about it for the first time. It's sort of, people say, well, this must be too good to be true, or gosh, this doesn't make sense. How could somebody do this? And there's a lot of these questions that happen, but it's true, folks. You can own a mortgage note. You can collect monthly mortgage payments, not rent. You can collect cash flow from real estate monthly, very passively, and not have to deal with managing your property management company or dealing with the phone calls from the tenants or repairing the toilet or the water heater that broke. And it's such a fantastic investment vehicle that's why we're here informing you that it's available, and more people should get into this. They should hold notes in their portfolios if they are investors. But Mark, maybe people listening are saying, well, I'm not a big time investor. I don't have a lot of money. I've never invested in a lot of stocks. I'm not a big time investor. Maybe this isn't for me. Well, let me ask you, Mark, who is note investing for?
Well, some people like to say everyone. And I say, well, in theory, everyone, because everyone's going to need to retire at some point, and everyone has financial responsibilities, and everyone would benefit with basic financial education so that they could have enough passive income that would replace their earned income from their job, so that income, little by little, over time, some people could do it 5-10 years. But here's the thing, most people never get started. So mistake number one is not making financial education, financial literacy a priority. So when people say to me all the time, it's so overwhelming, where should I get started? I say, go read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And once you've read that book, then read the next book, Cash Flow Quadrant, and then read the next book, and just start reading every book you can on the topic. Now, along with that, and people think I'm crazy, I tell people, read Dave Ramsey. Why Dave Ramsey? Well, you don't want to be the person paying, you want to be the person receiving. So there's good debt and bad debt. But you want to be the person that has people that have to get up in the morning, go to work, to go to the job that they hate, because they got to pay the mortgage to you, or to me, or to Patrick. And so here's the reality. People are going to always need a roof over their head. So that's why apartments can be good, but that's why houses are good. Even mobile homes on land can be good. And so any kind of housing, the demand for housing is not going to go away. People are always going to need a roof over their head. And people are always going to prefer to own than rent if they could. Matter of fact, one of those strategies I've done is I bought a small apartment complex, and I immediately said to everybody, hey, I see you got a growing family. At some point, you're going to outgrow this 2-bedroom apartment. Have you ever thought about owning a home? Well, yes, I have, but my credit's not good enough, or this or that, whatever. What if I could help you? Oh, that'd be wonderful. So I literally have it where I get paid when they're a tenant in my apartment. I get paid when they move out of my apartment and they buy a house from me. And they don't just buy a house from me. I am the bank and I finance them. So now I can get them in the house, and then I work with them to help them improve their credit. I work with them to qualify for a bank loan, refinance in the future. But I can literally have somebody in my apartment or in my rental, could be a house or apartment, and transition to buying a house from and through me. And now I'm getting paid twice. I get paid multiple times, and I even get paid in the back end when they refinance and cash me out. So the beautiful thing is, as you focus on the education and the networking and the relationships and all these foundational things, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time. Matter of fact, you've got a program. Is this the time for you to talk about what you offer and helping people with the education, or we're going to do it at the very end?
We'll wait to the end. What I want people to understand is this, because you just said it the best. You said that, you have an apartment, people are there as tenants. They're paying you rent. You sent a letter to them to say, well, how would you like to own a house at some point if you outgrow this small little apartment you're in? And your focus would be to go and find a home that you can secure, that you can put minimal dollars into to fix up, to get it to livable. Then maybe you could reach back out to those people, or when they reach out to you and say, hey, I remember you sent us a letter and we do want to be homeowners. You said you could help. How can you help? Well, the beautiful thing is, folks, he's going to find them a house He's going to allow them to buy the house, even though they normally wouldn't be able to. And maybe it's just something as small as their FICO score doesn't match up with Wells Fargo's criteria. They have income, they have good jobs, it's a good family, and they want to be homeowners, and they want to have their kids with a yard and a place to be free and play. And like you said, it's better to be an owner if they can, rather than a renter and live in an apartment. And so here you're making a solution, getting a family out of a small apartment into a beautiful home, changing their lives. And the beautiful thing is, folks, he's not selling them the house like a realtor and removing the monthly cash flow from his wallet. He's taking a family that's been paying him rent for so long in an apartment. He's allowing them to become homeowners, but guys, he's creating a mortgage note, and he's allowing them to buy the house. He's becoming the bank like a Wells Fargo would. He's carrying back that financing. And what Mark's trying to tell you is they went from being tenants in an apartment that he owned, they were paying him monthly rent, to now being homeowners, which helps the family out immensely. I'm sure they're grateful to you, Mark. And then at the end of the day, folks, they're paying Mark a monthly mortgage payment now. And so Mark's monthly cash flow stream doesn't stop, even when somebody changes from being a tenant of his to wanting to be a homeowner. Does that sound like a good summary, Mark?
Yes. And the important thing about that too is to understand everything in business and real estate is about relationships. So part of the thing is how you build trust is over time and getting to see a person's character and their behavior. So when I have a good tenant and that good tenant pays me on time and agreed and communicates and does everything I'm looking for in a homeowner, they might have, because they don't have the education, they might have a little credit ding or a little issue, whatever, but I help educate them on how to transition, because they're going to be leaving my apartment, going to buy a house somewhere from someone anyways. And most of the time I can get them in the house faster than they could, because they go to a realtor. First thing, realtor wants to know, what's your credit score? Are you pre-qualified, blah, blah, blah. And so I see this is a good person. They got good character. They pay on time. So I'm willing to take a little bit more risk, because they might have rented from me for a year, but also during that time, I get them with a credit repair company. I got them how to save the down payment. I even found out that they've got tools. They can fix things. They got friends and family. So I give them even a sweat equity opportunity to put flooring in, to paint, sheetrock, to do certain things I even pay them for, that then I can pay them, and that applies toward their down payment. So the thing I love about real estate is the creativity of all the different ways I can help people. I can help the community. I've got neighbors that thank me. I've got people who've got elderly parents who thank me. It's so rewarding to have all these people thanking you, because as you're buying a house, as you're selling a house, as you're creating a note, as you're doing all these different things, you're helping. Now, I know on your side, you're just strictly not even dealing with the real estate. You're strictly dealing with the paper side. And that's one of the opportunities. And I know you're going to, before we close here today, talk about how people can learn about that very affordably.
Well, let me ask you this. Why, if someone's listening out there, right, and they're not as experienced as you or I in the space, they're going, well, this guy's got over 30 years of experience. No wonder he can do all this. And it sounds fancy, but it's not me. Right. Well,
right.
Just someone who's listening that may have, $100,000 sitting in an IRA account, or they're considering, gosh, I see some of my friends becoming wealthier and wealthier by acquiring real estate and becoming a landlord and owning these rental properties and such. Now, why would one of these listeners consider buying a note and owning a note as an investment versus maybe buying a rental property and being a landlord as an investment? Why would somebody consider a note?
And here's the other good thing about that, whether it's apartments or notes, typically a house, most people think of just investing right in your neighborhood, in your own backyard. In some parts of California, that might not be viable. You might find it's a lot easier to do it in Ohio or the Midwest or Texas or some other state. Typically, notes, you're not right there. There's systems and places and things in place to where you can own these anywhere, and you have professionals on your team who inspect the property, who verify, the title company, attorney, all these different people. And so literally you can do anything from anywhere. And especially if you're teamed up with someone with experience like Patrick or myself, we are able to go ahead, and with our years of experience, we're able to verify. Verification of the facts and details and the paperwork is all very important to protect you, us, the money, everything, to do things correctly. Now, part of that's an educational process. So a lot of what I focus on in my building a relationship with somebody is somebody could say, hey, I just heard you on the show. Here's 100,000. I want to invest. I go, whoa, 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 not so fast. I don't know you. I don't know what your needs are. My background, I was a vice president of financial planning firm back in the 80s, to give you some idea, to date myself. And so basically I slow down. And sometimes I've told people, do you know anything about notes? They say, no. I say, go talk to Patrick. He's got a basic educational program that's very affordable. He's got a mastermind. He's got all this. Go get some basic education, because I have a Facebook group. I have some things I do, but I don't have at the same level as you. So there's a complementary of, but my main thing is I'm in my 60s now. I've already made most of my money. I'm going to be living in Central, South America, all over the world in the next couple of years. In the future, anybody goes, says, whatever happened to so-and-so? Oh, here he is at the Pacific Ocean, but I'm still doing notes from other countries around the world. And that's the beautiful thing, is you can get the education and the network and the relationships so that you can do this from computers and from phones and from technology, and you can do it anywhere in the world, and your money works so you don't have to.
You're hearing it from a guy that's done it all. And so you always hear about people saying, well, if I'm going to own a rental property, I want to be able to get over to the rental property and kick it and make sure it still stands and exists. So one of the beauties, folks, of note investing is that it can be done all over the country. I always ask people, hey, when you had your mortgage with Wells Fargo, and you're paying your mortgage with Wells Fargo for 5-6 years straight, right? Did anybody from Wells Fargo ever come over and knock on the door for a visit, make sure the property is in good condition, make sure? No one from Wells Fargo comes to visit. They're just the lender. They own your mortgage note, and they don't want to have to come visit the property. And imagine if that's you. Imagine if you could buy these mortgage notes all across the country, not have to go and visit them physically yourself. You can do it from anywhere as long as you have an internet connection. It's much easier to manage a servicing company than it is to manage a property manager. It's much easier to deal with an owner of a home than it is to deal with a renter of someone else's home. There's just so many benefits to it. And you're hearing right here, straight from the mouth of a guy that's been doing this for over 30 years. And he's saying, guys, the paper business and owning the debt on these physical pieces of real estate is where it's at. People talk passive cash flow all the time, and I always have an issue with that term, because everybody claims passive cash flow. And when you get down to it in those arenas, it's not very passive. A lot of work involved. Note investing is very, very passive. You can do it from anywhere in the country as long as you have an internet connection. You don't need to walk up and kick the property yourself. And that's why it's a beautiful thing. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to take one more commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to introduce you to how to get a hold of Mark, how to get a hold of myself, and how maybe you can start to educate yourself on some of this and change your life and financial future for the better. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.